Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Tara Violet with another episode of Veterans in Politics. We have a special treat today. We have Jason D'Souza live in studio, and we have Kash Jackson on Zoom from Arkansas, and we have so many cameras in here, I lost count after 5. So we just want to bring you a great show and talk about the corruption in the family court system, whether it's here in Clark County or in Nevada or in Arkansas. Actually it's a global epidemic, but it's really hitting the United States at a fast pace, and we just need to have a great control over it. You guys are not going to see Kash Jackson. He's on Zoom here, but we're seeing him. But you got Jason D'Souza. Jason, could you give us a bio?
Jason D'Souza, grew up in California, went through the family court system in Orange County. No police record, not even a speeding ticket in over 10 years. And I was given a lifetime restraining order to be 100 yards away from our son. So that's my whole goal in life. It's been over 900 days that I've been alienated from him. And I think the only reason that I can't be in his life is because of child support. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay, thanks. And we have Kash Jackson on Zoom. Kash, could you give us a bio, please?
Yes, sir. I am the founder of Veteran Liberty Network. We are a up-and-coming veteran nonprofit. We have applied to be a C-19. We're currently recognized by the state of Arkansas, and we have formed our first post, 001. It's located right at 12 East Walnut Street in downtown Paris, Arkansas, catty corner to our own courthouse, which is beautiful this time of year, I might add. I'm also a retired United States Navy veteran.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate you, Steve. You as well.
Thank you.
And I'm the former 2018 Illinois gubernatorial candidate for the Libertarian Party.
Oh, wow. Outstanding. How did that go?
How did that go? Well, I garnered about 110,000 votes and was able to escalate the platform, the political platform on which family law and its corruption was discussed on a much larger political stage. And that is now manifested into having the third largest party in the United States, being the Libertarian Party, having multiple gubernatorial candidates as well as their former vice presidential candidate, going into great detail about the inequities of family court, and going further down the rabbit hole that hasn't been needed for some time, discussing the federal influence over the states and how they are in fact driving the state incentives to take our children from us. Right. So, well, and to that aspect, it went very well.
Okay, we're gonna get back with you, Kash. Jason, tell us a little bit about what's going on with your case. How could you have a lifetime ban from your child?
Well, honestly, there was just going through family court in Orange County.
Let me just hit some of the highlights. Are you a criminal?
No.
Are you a convicted criminal?
No, never.
Do you have any CPS claims against you?
No.
Are you a child molester?
Nope.
Did you leave your weapon out?
Nope.
Are you an alcoholic?
No.
Are you a drug dealer?
Never done drugs. Nope.
And you have a lifetime ban for what reason?
And all positive monitoring reviews. And it's because I would speak out on, the judge said that my words are a weapon and I post crap on the internet. So my freedom of speech was basically taken away.
So why didn't you do a federal lawsuit against the judge and we're in Orange County and the Orange County family court system?
It's been going on since 2014 of December, and it's just every time you go in, I've had 3 different lawyers that I did use.
I'm talking about a federal lawsuit, civil rights lawsuit against the judge and the Orange County family court system for violating your constitutional rights. Yeah,
I haven't done that, no.
Well, that's what you should do.
Cool.
Did you file a judicial disciplinary complaint against the judge?
It's very complicated. I had a friend that I'm working with where police came to her house and they took away her 4-year-old child, and she hasn't seen him for half a decade.
Okay, now you're confusing me. I'm talking about you.
Okay, yeah. So no, I haven't. Yeah.
Did you appeal? It's an order, right, to stay away from the child, from your son. Did you file an appeal to the Supreme Court of California?
No, I haven't. No.
Well, how come you haven't done that?
There was a person who was going to do pro bono as a lawyer, but it just never got there. So they never ended up doing it. So
What's your son's name?
I call him Indy, but yeah.
Where is he right now?
He's in Orange County. Yeah.
But the responsibility lays on your shoulders. If one entity that you go to is not running with the ball, you have to go to another entity. Because when you have a court order, there's a thing called statute of limitations. And I believe it's 30 days from the day the order was signed for you to appeal it to the Supreme Court of that state. How long has it been?
Oh, since then, honestly, with everything going through family court, it's just, it's hard. I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
How long has it been?
Man, I got the lifetime restraining order a year ago.
So your appeal process is gone.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just do it? We're talking about your son. You turn over every brick, mountain, country stone
Yeah.
to get it done. You can't say, hey, I went to this person and they dropped the ball, so I just threw my hands up in the air, because that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I'd like to chime in on that if I could.
Sure.
Hey, look, it's not as simple as what, I hate to say that you're making it out to be. I've been doing this, I don't know how long you, Steve, but by the time I got done with family court, financially I was devastated. I was a pro se litigant. A pro se litigant going up against seasoned attorneys, number one, it cannot transpire in its entirety because the due process was violated from the onset. The due process violation from the onset is that in order for an accurate appeal, or for an appeal to actually occur in its entirety, it is dependent upon what is in the written record. That is what gets submitted to the appeals court. If the family court system, and you being a layman, you hire an attorney, you do not know this. You don't know that you need this complete written record. On one minor appeal in the state of Illinois, it could run you upwards of $30,000 to $50,000. And by the time you get around to appealing, you're already financially devastated. Not only are you already financially devastated, you're emotionally and mentally crippled because you're struggling to keep your head above water. You're losing your home. Your credit's being decimated. You're buried in attorney fees. And oftentimes you've already been cycled in and out of the local jail on potentially false orders of protections, any other number of approaches they use to put you on your heels on an upward fight. They violate due process rights from the onset, and they make it far more complex. Statistically, when you file an appeal, I believe you have less than a 5% or 10% chance of prevailing at the appeals court. And then what happens? They send it right back to the crooked bastard that just got done putting the screws to you. But now their egos are stricken because you went up to the appeals court. They're aspiring to get to the appeals court, and now it doesn't look good for them that a senior judge has looked down on them and publicly issued an opinion that says, hey, circuit court judge, you were wrong, and you're going to need to redecide this decision. What happens? Now you've drawn the ire of the very person in control of you seeing your children. Right? This is not how the legal process is supposed to work. And it is a blockade to actual justice because people that financially could not afford to get to the appeals court, you're talking about eliminating millions of people from actual due process on a basic premise of just seeing and speaking to their children. It's absolutely asinine. Appeals courts are not the appropriate route. While I get the sentiment of exhausting your legal resources, but a lot of times your legal resources and your financial resources are exhausted long before you even get to the point of preparing to file an appeal.
But in this state, if you file an appeal, the Supreme Court, they usually reverse the judge's decision. I've seen a lot of reversals in the past couple of years now with the Supreme Court. And you don't have to use an attorney. You go to a paralegal, which is a fraction of the cost, and you have the paralegal draft everything up. And if you go pro se, they fast track it pro se here in the state of Nevada. They'll fast track it. If you have an attorney, it's a lot slower. But if you're pro se, they'll fast track it. And with here, you don't have to go and verbally argue your case all over again. They're just going to go on whatever documentation that's filed. And with his case, he hasn't done a damn thing to his kid. and he's got a lifetime ban, man, you need to exhaust every legal resources for that one.
Well, yes, you do. But I think, I don't know what, I know Jason and I have exchanged messages in the past. Thousands of messages, Steve, probably like yourself, you exchange as you go through this interactive phase with people who are enduring this battle. You're right. And I don't believe for 1 second that gentleman or any other wouldn't exhaust their resources to the fullest potential if they're in the position to do so, right? It's not that they might not wanted to do that or that they didn't think that was necessary. Oftentimes, they're just not in the financial position to do it. And now what you said was the really important piece. What's on the written record? If he appealed pro se, that means he needs to obtain his records. If the court from the onset did not ensure a complete, fully written record was kept from the beginning of all matters, then they violated his due process rights and that of his children from the onset. And in doing so, they have lost judicial immunity. I believe, I would argue that, because they know full well as a sitting judge what is required for an appeal to happen. If they had forward knowledge, that's why we hire an attorney. They tell us to hire an attorney. We hire the attorney, but the attorney does not disclose to us that, hey, we're going to do a lot of things that won't be on the record. We're going to take this case into closed chambers where you can't hear or see what's happening. Yep. We're going to have ex parte communications outside the purview of you.
But hold on, let me stop you right there. But if you're pro se, you got to go in those chambers too, because you're representing yourself.
Yeah, and they don't. So what do you do then?
Then you complain to the Judicial Disciplinary Commission about that judge.
You don't hold on. It's just not that judge. You don't believe that for a second that their entire local rules of civil procedure allow them to do that. It's sanctioned by the senior judges in the courthouse, which is sanctioned from their supervisors, because their supervisors knew about the condition of this. They knew there's no cameras. Take Lake County, Illinois. They do $100 million expansion right before COVID of their courthouse, claiming they need the additional room for all of the litigation that's ongoing. But then as soon as COVID happens, then miraculously, even though Zoom's been around for I don't know how long, we're doing it via Zoom for the safety of the public until you're like me or any other person that's a whistleblower, and they make you drive up there so that they can hold their hearings in secret outside the purview of the prying eyes of the public. I mean, why should he be silenced and intimidated for expressing his First Amendment right?
Exactly. But ex parte communication is illegal. You can't have you can't have ex parte communication.
They do it all the time. And there's no accountability.
You got to call them. You got to call them on it.
Yeah, take a look at California, Orange County, California. Take a look at Orange County, New York, or take a look at Cook County, where Chicago sits. Look at how many complaints are filed against judges, serious, egregious complaints now. We're talking about children left in the care of pedophiles and rapists and murderers, and these children being tortured, and a judge knew full well about circumstances that this child was in fact in danger, and they don't take the child. And then conversely, like in my case, and probably in Jason's case, there's no serious finding of endangerment. There's no finding of unfitness. It wasn't even alleged in any sort of written motion. So you should not have to present yourself as being the stalwart of fatherhood to be able to see and speak to your kids. I mean, there's no metric that determines the worst or best dad. We just get to be dads or moms, and we should be able to grow as from a young father. You would parent substantially different than you would from 22 to 42, right? You learn a lot of life lessons. You learn a lot of patience. You learn a lot more about yourself and rearing children. We're being denied multiple basic civil. These are human rights. They're driving the veteran suicide rate by withholding children for ungodly amounts of time from us. 3.5 years, I haven't seen or spoken to my daughter. 3.5 years. 3.5 years, and this isn't inhumane. The Geneva Convention would not allow for this. Why is the American government fully sanctioned on the lowest level of civil procedure to utilize the lowest evidentiary standard in American jurisprudence to separate fit parents, oftentimes veterans and active duty service members, from their children, again, using the lowest evidentiary standard in American jurisprudence, combined with no transparency, threatening you if you record your own matter. They're not recording it. We had to have the appeals court order Judge Janelle Christensen, who just recused herself in my case. She had to be ordered from the appeals court, and that was done pro bono for me. She had to be ordered to make sure a court reporter was present. Well, if a court reporter wasn't present the entire time, and there was no written record developed because they saw to it that there was no written record, they do that because they're case shaping. They have forward knowledge that without a complete written record, you do not have full, complete access to the appeals court because they will only take what is in writing. They neglect to keep it. They will not allow you to keep it. If you cannot afford to get a court reporter, they don't give a damn. They do not get to deny us equal rights to be parents because they get to make millions and millions of dollars and then stand on our throats when we express our First Amendment right, just like what you guys are doing right now.
You do understand parental alienation is illegal, right? The courts is not supposed to alienate your child from the parent. And the courts is not supposed to use the child as a sword to kind of discipline you into doing what they want you to do.
And they do that all day, every day.
But nobody's calling them on it. That's the problem.
Well, I've been doing it, which is why I'm not seeing my children still.
Tell us a little bit about your case, Kash.
Say that again?
Tell us a little bit about your case.
Well, right now I'm facing criminal charges out of the state of Illinois for threatening a public official. While I can't go into any great details because this is pending, the state of Illinois is seeking to have me extradited. To have me extradited, they need a governor's warrant signed by my former political opponent, J.B. Pritzker. Well, one, that sets off, in my mind, first-degree conflict of interest because this is my former political opponent. Now, for an extradition to occur, we got to consider, we have to talk about, and I don't want to take too much time because I know Jason needs to talk, but in order for them to extradite you, everyone who's listening should understand this. Most of the states in the nation entered into the Uniform Criminal Extradition Act. It's important because we're talking about states' rights, federal rights, and the ability for one state to take you out of another state and place you in their jail in their state, to have you extradited. To do that, they have to retain a governor's warrant. First of all, the warrant that I was picked up on, there is no legible signature, no legal legible signature from a judge. There's no printed name from a judge. There is no witness signatures. How in the world can you exercise legal executive authority across state lines and have somebody's liberty deprived from them on a charge that I've never been charged in the state of Arkansas. Arkansas did not prosecute me. Okay, Illinois alleged that they have jurisdiction over this matter because it's their judges in question, judge or judges. We don't know because the count only has one, but the media reports two. And the judge in my case recused herself. As it stands right now, I've not seen my daughter in 42 months. I've not spoken to her in 42 months. I've not seen my son in 36 months. There's no finding of unfitness, no finding of endangerment, and there wasn't whenever they illegally deprived me of access to my kids.
So let me try to understand your case. You have two children from the same mother?
That's correct.
Okay.
And one away from my first marriage, which he's aged out and he's good, and we have a relationship.
So why don't you give us bullet points on what happened with your case and how it ended up that you haven't seen your children in over 3 years?
Well, it began from the summer of 2012. Was still active duty military. I was a recruit division commander, sometimes known as a drill instructor in the other branches. I was a drill instructor in Great Lakes, Illinois. In the summer of 2012, the United States Navy sent me back to Washington State, where I would go back to where I'd been previously, conducting classified undersea research and development. At that moment, I had a top, what's known as a TS SCI clearance. So I did have a very high security clearance with access to national secrets. And of course, I'm on orders. I have to go. My ex-wife chooses not to go. She remains in the state of Illinois with our two minor children in the marital home that I was paying for with my E6 pay. From summer of 2012 to the summer of 2014, 2 years, we were physically separated. After 2 years of being separated and me paying all of the bills in Illinois, I elected to file for divorce. The day after I elected to file for divorce, I got my...
Bye-bye.
We lost Cash. Cash is gone. So Jason,
Oh no.
Cash is gone. Folks, that was a technical difficulty. I know we had you on the program once before. So has anything changed since then?
I haven't. Actually, I first met Cash, I just saw that he'd run for governor and that he was a huge vocal, proponent for, the family court system and ending the corruption. And I was just, always, looked at him, kind of like you too, man, this guy, he gets things done. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I just put out a video of our son and I, we went on a hike in California. And he saw that and he, shared it or posted it, and it just ballooned, just a lot of people had viewed it. And then he friend requested me. I thought I don't want to friend request him. He's big, important guy. And he reached out to me and friend requested me. And I was no way. This guy is just very, very real, very cool. And just, goes out there. And I think it's people like that. For myself, it's this, everything is just, it's so complex and complicated. You get in there, it's all I know is when I was representing myself, I would go to the self-help and it would take an hour in line. Mm-hmm. You go over there, they say this, you can get help. You don't fill out a certain box. You got to get back in line. This another hour. And then, this, you got to go back. And people, while I'm in line, people are I could just, I'm wasting so much money doing this. People are just when I'm in line for an hour, that one day I heard people just saying I just want to shoot myself or kill myself. I mean, the craziest things that they were saying. And it's just, I don't know, it was just a place where I just felt like it was hell. It was just the worst thing, going through family court system, seeing these attorneys just go out and just destroy you. So I don't know, it's intimidating. You get, once when you get a lifetime restraining order, it's just a block. You're just yeah.
I never heard of such an animal. A lifetime restraining order. I heard that, you get a restraining order for 30 days, or you get a restraining order for 6 months, or you get a restraining order for a year. A lifetime restraining order, I've never heard of such an animal.
In Orange County, they give them. I'm not the only one. There's another guy named Jesse. Same thing, no criminal records or anything like that. And he's gotten a lifetime restraining order as well. Same judges that I have.
You haven't sued yet? That's what puzzles me. What puzzled me is that you haven't, filed a federal lawsuit against them. I mean, for violating your civil rights.
Yeah.
And another thing that puzzles me is that there was no appeal process. The first thing a federal judge is going to say, why didn't you appeal it? And what are you going to say to them?
Yeah, I did talk to another father. He was in Oregon and he went to deal with the appeal, and he's spent $250,000, trying it. And I'm just wow, it's just the money is super expensive.
That's his case
One
is
of the
probably
things.
So much different than yours.
And then when I talked to people, the appeal process, they said it's a 90% chance you're not going to win it or get it.
Well, that's a 10% chance right there. If you don't do anything, what are the chances you got? You went right back at zero again.
Yeah. Well, it just...
And if you use a paralegal, you don't have to use an attorney because you're pro se. So you get a paralegal to write everything up for you and you just submit it.
Yeah, yeah.
How come he didn't even do that?
I do have a paralegal, and she's in the same boat as I am.
Well, you don't use that paralegal, you get another paralegal. I mean, there's hundreds of paralegals.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just Google paralegal, Orange County. I'm sure the whole slew of them will pop out. You just use a paralegal. I mean, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have let the appeal process, the statute of limitations run out, and you said you haven't seen your son in how many days now?
Over 900 days.
900,
yeah.
What's that? 3, 6, 9, 3 years?
Yeah.
About 3 years?
But I mean, the lifetime restraining order came before then, and I hired an attorney where I spent a lot of money on there, and but
did you even file
he just
a
said that
complaint
freedom of
against the judge for violating your civil rights with the Judicial Disciplinary Commission? I mean, what do you got to lose?
I went to the self-help, and it's just, but it's, I don't know. A lot of it is complicated. And
Jason, I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed.
Okay, yeah, that's all right.
I'm a little disappointed. Yeah. You have an entity to go after the judge you didn't use. You have an entity to appeal the order you didn't do. You have an entity to go after the whole system in federal court to get monetary damages, to have them reverse the judge's order. You haven't done. I'm just hearing like an excuse. But I'm sorry for being so harsh, but you come on, 3 years and you haven't did any of these three things I just mentioned.
Yeah.
No.
And I wanna share and acknowledge you for what you have experienced, and to allow what he's saying to empower you to know that there's also other avenues that you can take, and to really just genuinely acknowledge you for what it has been like to experience the corruption on that level, to experience that heartbreak in your family, and then to feel so many times that you've reached out for solutions and haven't received them, or feel like an honored human being in this type of experience. I can only imagine what that's like. So I want to acknowledge your story and thank you for what you're
kind of lose. You kind of lose faith in the system. I mean, it's just
you can't
how
lose faith.
oftentimes
I got faith right here in my arm.
You can't. That's why I want to take it as empowerment, because there are ways, and the more we hold people accountable, that's the only way change really can take place in all of this, because being a victim is what everyone wants us to become, and I had my own version of what that looked like for me. So it's ruthless. It's ruthless, and we can still hold people accountable to the best way that we can by continuing on.
And California and Nevada laws are almost the same. As a matter of fact, Nevada mirrors California laws. If you take your whole case and you go down to the Nevada Legal Forms and Books over here on Charleston and Valley View and go see the owner, Carmel, she'll put you in contact with a family court paralegal that could type up all this stuff for you, which is a fraction of the cost. Probably pay, I would say probably $500 tops. Fraction of the cost that you pay an attorney to do, and then go and file the damn thing.
Yeah.
Get some high levels of support in your life too. I have a lot of incredible communities that.
But you can't just throw your hands up in the air and say, well, I went to this one paralegal and she couldn't do it, so I'm like, That's what I just heard you said. I went to this one paralegal and she's in the same boat as me. So I'm like, what the hell does that mean? I just stopped going after my kid? When I was in California, I went after 2 of my kids. It took me 9 years. And I was in a different state and I got them. So you just can't just give up and you, instead of looking for excuses, just find some solutions. And people say, well, you're really being hard on him. No, wake up, Jason.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Wake. You were talking about your kid. You got a lifetime restraining order. So what are you going to wait? Another 3 years go by, another 5 years go by, another 6. You're going to wait till the kid turned 18 before you go say, hey, I'm your daddy? How old's your son now?
He's 6 years old.
6 years. And it happened when he was 3? Well, what are you going to wait for him to turn 18 before? Come on, man.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say that on the first show I did, but I just let you go off. But you came on the show for the second time. I'm like, I'm going to let him have it now.
No, it's good. It's good. I appreciate it. No,
and we're doing this live on camera. There's always, folks, there's always a way to do something. Mm-hmm. You never, ever, ever, ever stop, especially when you fight for your kid. Ever stop. Because if you stop, they win. If you look for excuses, they win.
True.
Yep. Yeah.
And you walked away?
I don't know that I'll ever walk away from him.
Well, is your son with you?
No, he's not.
Or are you doing anything to get him back besides helping other litigants and not yourself?
I mean, there's, I'll just keep that to myself. So for right now, yeah.
Man, I mean, when you get this video, rewind it, go back to it, and just take my advice and go ahead and I would sue him. I would sue him. I would sue him. I would sue him. And if I got money to go and buy me a cup of coffee, I'll put that money in my legal fund to go sue the state of California for violating my constitutional rights, for denying me access of my son. I mean, these years, you can never go back. You can never turn the clock back and say, I'm going to restart it again. I mean, your son is going to get older and older and older and older and older.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You know?
Yeah, I wish people just did the right thing a lot of times.
Well, that's not what they do. They don't do the right thing. So you got to do it.
They do, because you told them.
And I'll go after that judge personally. I mean, I've never heard of a lifetime ban on anybody before. And I've never heard of any kind of restraining order when you haven't even done anything to warrant a restraining order, because you talk about your views on social media. Is that what you just said? That's why they did it? Because
yes,
you exercise your freedom of what? Speech? And you got demonized for it, and the courts alienated you from your son because of it?
Yeah, well, originally the first 3-year restraining order I got, the mom accused me of raping her. So that's where it all originated. So when she accused me of rape, she used it because she needed some form of violence to come against me.
All right. Okay, so were you ever arrested for this?
No.
Were you ever convicted for this?
No.
So it's all hearsay.
Yeah.
And there's an argument right there.
Yep.
If you were never convicted of anything like that, then it's just hearsay.
Yeah. So after the
and
3
you can't
years,
hold that up as a reason to take your child away in a lifetime ban.
Well, I would have thought the lifetime restraining order would have come as a result of that if she was gonna really use that. And but yeah. So
Mr. D'Souza.
Yeah. So
do you have anything else to say?
No, not at all.
Could you look into the camera? Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming on the program.
No, I more was just excited to hear you and Kash, and I'm not even sure how I got on.
And Kash, if you're out there, I'd like to thank you for coming on Zoom, but too bad we lost the internet. And this is one of the reasons why I like in-person guests. This is a good example. Technology screws things up a lot of the times. But if you could look into the camera and just give your final thoughts, your feedback, or any contact information you want, and Mark will zoom in on you.
I love my son. I guess I'm not trying hard enough, and I just want to, I don't know, I wish there was a way where I just knew how to be in his life. I don't like suing people. I don't like attacking people, like physically or even threatening or anything like that. It's just not who I am. So I just would rather just focus on, being in my son's life in some way. But it's not just me. I know there's a lot of fathers over there that are just down and out. And I just want to give them hope, because a lot of us, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to go about it. It's like people can tell us all the time. So it's just, just keep going. The hardest thing was last year, my mom passed away. She had 4-stage cancer, and I did everything I could for our son to see his grandma one last time. And that was actually through a third party, and she reached out and just said, hey, it's the last weekend that Jason's mom is going to be alive. And she's basically, this is it. So she reached out to the mom. The mom said, yeah, I'll go and make sure we'll come out. And just so that way our son could see his grandma one last time. And instead, after talking to her lawyers and her dad, it was just like, what you did is illegal, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Jason goes to jail. And that was, this day that she brought that up was the same day that my mom died. So it's just like, when that goes on, it just kind of phases you out. And you're just like, whoa, it's like my mom, the most beautiful, most amazing person in my life, passes away. And I never brought it up on social media. I'd never talk about it. But when that happens, and then the girl that you were in love with, and like you wanted to wait for marriage as well too. I had been a youth pastor, and all she does is just wants to throw you in jail. It just is hard. It takes you out of the game for a little bit. So, but anyways, I love you, son. And, I want the best for you. I know you do have a good mom, and you had an amazing grandmother.
Well, Jason D'Souza, I'd like to express my condolence for the loss of your mother. And I'm not saying to do anything illegal or threatening. What I'm saying is that when you had that order giving you that ban from your son, from the time that order was signed, there is a time span for you to file an appeal, okay, which in this state is 30 days. I don't know, not familiar what it is in Orange County, but you have 30 days in this state to file an appeal from the day the order was signed, to either go to the appellate or the Supreme Court to reverse the judge's decision. And if a judge violates any type of canon laws or code of ethics or federal or state law, one of the outlets is to file a judicial discipline complaint against that judge to get that judge sanctioned, penalized, trialed. And sometimes it doesn't happen. Majority of the times it doesn't happen, but it's a paper trail that you have to take because you never know, it might happen. And in this state, we had one judge that it did happen to, Rena Hughes, no longer on the bench, because that's exactly what we did. So that's a process you have to do. And the reason why you should do that is because if you don't do that, you think that this judge, think that your case was the only case that this judge did that to? I'm sure that your case is not an isolated incident. I'm sure that this judge has done this before, and I'm sure that if this judge is not stopped, this judge will continue to do that, and you're going to have more litigants just like yourself in the same position if nobody stops the bleeding. And the other thing that I did mention is a federal lawsuit. You get a paralegal, you type it up. Your constitutional rights has been violated. And if more people stood up for their constitutional rights, this country wouldn't be going the direction it's going right now. Because people don't have those tools and knowledge. And here, I'm telling you, here's the knowledge. This is what you got to do. And this is how you exercise it. So you have to go and file a federal lawsuit against the state of California or Orange County, if you want to break it down that small, and that judge personally, because your constitutional rights have been violated and you need to stand up for it. And more Americans need to do the exact same thing, because if a lot of Americans stood up for their constitutional rights, we wouldn't be going in the direction as a country we are going right now. For example, when I was pulled out of my vehicle for a traffic ticket and then the cop went into my vehicle and took my guns out of my vehicle, he violated my constitutional rights. I didn't sit back idly and hope he never does this to somebody else. What I did, I sued the Metropolitan Police Department and that cop personally, and then they settled with me for $20,000 for an hour of my time. So you think that cop is going to ever do that again? No. So that's what we need to do as individuals, as a country. We need to say enough is enough, and we need to fight. And if you don't know how to fight, you give me a call and I'll tell you how to fight. But that's what you need to do. Because not only are you protecting your own civil liberties, you're protecting the country as a whole civil liberties as well. And I just want to I can't emphasize it enough that people need to stand up for their rights.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
A bully's punching you in the face. What are you going to do? Walk away, go home and cry? No, you take that damn bully down, because you're going to make sure that bully never does it again to another person. And that's how you do it. So thank you for coming on the program. I'm glad that you came back again, because I think that this information needs to be out there and people just need to know. And then there's a spark inside of you that just needs to wake up and say, hey, you know what? Nah, maybe Samson is right. Maybe that's exactly what I need to do. So maybe I need to concentrate a little bit more on that. Because if it's a lifetime ban for you not to see your son, I'm like, I could understand, well, the ban ends in 2022 on January. Okay, so you have a deadline. But lifetime? Now, it's like playing chess. It's your move. And again, I'm not saying doing anything illegal. I'm saying these are the remedies you have, and you need to just start exercising them. That's all.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tara Violet, I never sit so close to my co-host before, but thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Jason D'Souza, thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your experience. Kash Jackson, I'd like to thank him as well. And this is Steve Sampson, Tara Violet with Veterans in Politics. Until next time.